Right, hello everyone. This is the tricky scene. I thought I would be more visible in my red, but so welcome to London for most of you, and my name is Fulya. This is my tweet. She's also called Fulya. She's blonde. She can't be here today. So. Most of you probably know me from our previous meetings. I am a Turkish agent counsellor, and I've been in the business just as long as NABSW has. It's 25 years this year. Thank you. And I'm so happy to be here talking to you about my experiences as an agent counsellor. Now, why do I do this? Because I've been on both sides of the table, and I understand your position. I've been in your shoes, and also in this shoe now. I can tell you from my perspective the kind of agents that your kind of schools can be looking for or would be working in the most efficient manner. So hopefully everything I say here will stay in this room. Promise that. Yeah. Yeah, okay. And some of it may apply to all of you, some of it may apply to none of you, but there will be actionable tips and practical takeaways for you to go away and do as you please. But one thing for sure, I am not going to base it on just my agency experience. I have been quite a global trotter myself, so I've known agents from all around the world, and I've worked with them as friends, as partners, and so I know a lot of the practices that go on in other parts of, in other regions that you may be interested in developing your business relations with too. So let's skip me. Skip me. A lot about it. Now, as I prep to my speech here, I've put this guy on LinkedIn 2 nights ago, and I've made sure it was within your office hours. I don't know whether that was the day that you were taking your flight out, but I've gone on to LinkedIn and added all 45 of you, some of you were already on there, maybe 4 or 5 of you, to my LinkedIn account as a connection. Can you please tell me if you've seen it? Joshua, you've been there for years. But I'm glad you've seen it. So this is not even 1/3 of the audience. So guys, LinkedIn is one of the most important platforms for your business. International education breathes in LinkedIn, I'm sorry. I've seen, out of the 45 of you, I've seen 5 of you didn't exist, that didn't have an account at all. 1 of you had 3 accounts. The person probably thought, well, I need a new account for every school I'm with, which is not the case. We want to see your journey, we want to see your career. Just like you vet your agents, we as agents look at the school officials and want to see where you've come from and where you're going and what your ideals are, whether you've stuck to the same school for all your life or you've been jumping ship quite often. That gives us a lot about you as a person. So do try and improvise on your LinkedIn presence a little bit, please. 1 of you, in fact, have accepted it on the spot. I was like, whoa, she's quick. Then I wrote to her, and she didn't see it till now. So, and I did write, make yourself known. Obviously, she hasn't read it to make herself known, and I'm not going to name the person. Right, so why do we want to be best friends with a fishmonger? Who is the fishmonger? And why should a fishmonger be an important person in your career? In your work with agents? Obviously, it's a pseudonym, isn't it? Who is the fishmonger? We all like eating, right? There's no business, especially in my part of the world, that can be dealt with without food. We talk business over food, over drinks, especially with foreigners. So when Turkish people are known for their hospitalities, and when we have foreign guests, school representatives, officials, students, anyone, we like to take them out, treat them for dinner, and show them the best parts of our town, be as hospitable as we can. And for Turkish people, fish is a different class altogether because of the way we cook it, because of the various different fish that's available in our seas. So it's the most hospitable treat that you could have with Turkish people. So I see some people nod, and you've been and done it possibly. Good. So, but you don't know the fish, do you? You don't know what sort of fish we have in Turkey. The fish is your student. The fishmonger is me, your agent. If you don't know the fish, you've got to know the fishmonger. In every different sea around the world, there are different fish. And you want to catch them because you want your diversity. You want different, on your palate, you've got the appetite for everything, haven't you? Because you like food. You like your school to have all these different colors, all these different languages, all these different backgrounds, because the diversity gives you that edge, gives you that strength, and gives you that difference. So you may not know all the fish in the world, but you can know your fishmonger. Get to know your agent on a personal level. Let's move, please. Every agency has possibly a different business model. Every agent has a different background. So it's best that before you meet them, just spend a couple of minutes on each person that you're going to meet. Do your pre-meeting preparation. I've done it. And as an agent, I don't think I'm supposed to do it. You guys should be chasing me in that business model, right? Because I'm your seller. I'm the one that puts your product on my shelf. So you should be chasing me for my shelf space, right? Just like that fisherman, the monger, for the fish that's on his, in his fridge, on his trays. And of course, have you heard of this saying? Horses for courses? You've lived here long enough, Josh.
I am.
Well, you're English, right?
I'm British, yeah.
So you it means stick to what you know best. It's a very old English saying. Why do we do that? There are loads of agents around the world who like to try the business because it's not seen as a career in many parts. A lot of people think, oh, it's just a commission job. It's just a middleman thing. It's just a sales thing. And we get people from, for example, insurance industry a lot. We get people from hotel industry a lot. We get people from tourism, medical tourism, who think that selling education is somewhat the same. Commissionable business. No, it's very different. People trust you with the most important thing in their lives, and that's their children. So again, horses for courses. Go for your agents who stick to what they know best. So this means specialization. If I've been known to be selling boarding schools for 26 years, then don't go for the guy who does everything under the sun as a business agent. So you know that I know your product best, right? Creating empathy. We can move along. This is not something I need to explain, but with your agent, I think in order to build trust and empathy, you need to, again, get to know them on a personal level, make friends, see what sort of a business background they've built up, and also analyze their needs, what it is that you're meeting them for. Does your needs match theirs? Does their expectations match what you're offering? And you could easily make a break from that point. KPIs, they've got to be verifiable. Every agency must be holding data. So their KPI, if you see that on their social media presence, on their promotional materials, and their marketing strategies, everything that you're looking for, and it matches your principles, then definitely they're your man, they're your fishmonger. So there are a few different business models, like I said. One of them is the one-stop shop. Now, in countries where agent business is very competitive, like Turkey, or like in China, you'll find, guys, especially in destinations where English is not the first language, you'll find most big agents will tend to offer everything under the sun. They'll do the visas, they'll do the tours, they'll do the packages, they'll do work and study, work and travel, exchange semesters, high schools, boarding schools, you name it, they say they'll do it. Because every feet through the door is a client for them that cannot be missed. Whereas for us, boarding school counselors and academic consultants, we work on a more best match kind of policy. Does this student match this school? Or does this school offer my parent what they're looking for? So sometimes one-stop shops may not be what you need. One-man shows. Have you ever met any agents that's just themselves and there's no back office, there's no second person? Or they talk about an office, but it's not there. You've never seen any trace of it. There's a ghost of a team. Be careful. They cannot deliver your needs, they cannot dedicate time, they cannot dedicate resources. They'll go for what is trendy at the time, and once that trend is dead, the guy is nowhere to be seen. Online sellers, super agents, AI-driven sales bots. Now you've seen probably agents from all around the world that try to utilize technology in a way that will help them cut down on, let's say, manpower. Because it saves them time and money and it creates the data. But is this data your client? Can they justify their fees to you or their services to you through the data they're collecting? Or is it just to keep their business going for everybody? To be honest, I've never, in all my years, seen such high levels of technology use in selling boarding schools effectively. It doesn't work. Because boarding schools mean that the personal touch with the parent, right? You want to look the parent in the eye and say, we're going to take care of your kid. We're going to make sure we're going to deliver the academics. We're going to make sure we look after their well-being, and they're going to be safe, and they're going to reach their academic potentials with our help. They're not just a number for you. They mean to you. And you mean to them. Again, when I first started in 99 now. I was working at the Turkish embassy in London, just around the corner. And the ambassador, I was doing my master's. So I was working in their press office as their translator. And the ambassador was such a nice man. His daughter was my friend and she was at LSE. And he was kind of, I think he felt sorry for me in a way that I needed the money. I was a poor student. And so he was throwing students at my way from his circles that would phone him and say, hi, ambassador, my daughter's coming around, can you, they were trying to use him as a connection to get their kids out. And he would throw them my way, thinking I would be making money from that. And I had no idea that there was this business model. And I said to him, ambassador, look, this is so nice that, I'm in your circles, but this is taking more of my time than in your translations. How do I, what do I do? How do I balance them and not upset you and not offend them and do my work here? He said, I'm going to sack you. I said, what do you mean? Is that me? Sorry. No. He said, I'm going to sack you so you go out and set up your business and you make professional money from these people because there's so many of them and I can't say no, but I can get somebody else to do the translations for you in the embassy, but I can't have anyone else look after my circle the way you do. So that's how I started. I was pushed into it. But I had such a privileged data behind me with such a great support. I couldn't set a foot wrong. It was just so, such a carefully trodden road for me. Because once I went wrong, the business would bust, right? So I had to be very careful. Your next guy is travel agencies and tour operators. Travel agencies and tour operators are just sellers. They'll sell you from the catalog. They won't visit you, they won't know what you're about, they won't know your high points. There's no SWOT analysis of any boarding schools with, or any destination abroad with tour operators and sort of wholesalers, we call them. So again, if you're working with any, be careful with who they are and what markets they're in. Maybe in their markets that's worth it. Maybe in their markets that's the way the business goes. Then you've got to learn more about the dynamics of the market than the business itself, if you're working with big guys. Now, academic coaches and consultants, that's more like people like me. We not only recruit the kid, the family, but we look after them through a journey. We make sure they choose the right subjects. We make sure they reach your selectivity targets. We make sure that they've got the language barrier sorted. And the parents are trained along the way. My average time spent with a family in my recruitment process is about 12 months, a whole year. And you will see this with every academic consultant in the business, because they care. We may not produce you volumes, but we can guarantee you a total adaptation, a total settlement with the whole of your expectations delivered before the student makes it to the campus. So, you know, I'm saying, to be honest here, over 400 boarding schools in the UK, Susan, right, that we work with. I know each and every one of them, but not each and every one of them fits my client profile. But I'm transparent about that, both to the school and to the families. And the same goes with my schools in the US, same goes with my schools in Canada. I will not promise you the world. You will know the numbers I do. You will know the shape of my market. I will hold your hand and guide you through the market so that your expectations are where they should be, not above where they should be. So out of these models, you've got to, more or less, I think after a few conversations with various different agents from that market, you'll more or less know which one works for you. And again, the market dynamics will determine that. So don't forget, you're not spending your own money. You're spending your school's money. And there is somewhat, I guess, accountability on that, isn't there? Somebody turns around and says to you, what did you do with your budget? And then you've got to go back and say, well, I've met these people, I've gone to these fairs, I've met such and such, I've done this and this, and then so where's the return? How do you maximize on your relationships with these agents? Your sales targets, are you passing any of them on? After you've built the relationships with the agents, are you sharing that burden with them? Are you making them work the ground for you? Are you making that phone call? Are you sending them the email? I've been coming to NABSW a few years now, and to be honest, I only ever receive one boarding school's newsletter on a weekly basis. Even though I do mention it, do please add me to your parent bulletins. So something is not quite working there. Right, so, leave that, don't move. People will be reading and making up their minds. Now, positive signs of what? That this relationship will work for you, that this agent will deliver for you, that they mean business, and that your time and your money is worth it. The proprietor, the business owner, has to have a first-hand experience. I'm sorry. And it's not just a short language course or a summer school that they've been to when they were 10. It has to be a higher education degree. It has to be something that qualifies them as a consultant, that qualifies them as an agent. They cannot often look at this as an investor business, and it's where they fail. I will not name names, but one of the major agents that I've had dinner with a couple of nights ago with their London director, and I'm not going to say he or she, but they left the business after 10 years because an investor company had bought them over and never met a single one of the staff in their London office over the last 4 years. This is not the kind of agency that would sell you. Yes, they're major, they're a chain, and there's that kind of a huge investment maybe, but to them, your clients, it's just money. So there will not be follow-ups, there will not be that sustainable relationship that you want. Okay? Can they prove their track record? Again, KPIs, most important. If they say to you, yeah, I work with boarding schools, how are they going to prove that to you? Do they have references? Is it on their social media? Can another school recommend them to you? This is your most important reference point. Now, I have so proudly overheard 2 schools talk about a friend of mine and said, best agent I worked with in Turkey. That's a friend of mine, a colleague, a competition. But I was so proud that schools can say that in the presence of somebody else that can overhear that and take it. And they didn't mind that. And again, my business may not have worked for that school, and her business may have, and that's okay. But again, if they can prove their track record, then it's worth your investment in their relationship. So, right. Accreditations, qualifications. This, in the US, it seems, is more controlled and more sort of established, isn't it, Yesham? You guys have a more counselor associations,
Yes.
and everything's kind of regulated. Whereas in the rest of the world, it's more like, I want to be an agent. Oh, I am an agent. I woke up an agent this morning, kind of thing. So there is no, most of the accreditations are voluntary. In any country in the world, and if we take our business seriously, we go for those accreditations. But I know people who, we've never even seen an event, never come to a conference, never gone to a workshop, never done an exam, and never been there and done it, not even a member of the local Agent Counselors Association, but they can yet face you as a competitor and snatch your client, and that's unfortunately the landscape in many major countries where the first language is not English, and we feel and experience this all the time. If the proprietor does not travel, they don't know much about the cultural differences, and they don't know much about the boarding school experience settlement period. And that's period. If they haven't traveled themselves, if they haven't been to the destination they're placing in, then it's a lot of question marks. I'm sorry. In Turkey, unfortunately, at least half the agents I know cannot themselves qualify for a visa. Isn't that right, Hisham?
That's right.
And yet, they claim to be a super agent. But they're nowhere in the accreditations, and they're nowhere in any of these conferences. So, beware. Level of English. Now, it's not about accent. There are trillions of accents around the world, right? It's all about the professionalism they use their language in. Let's go a bit quicker because I'm being told off. Right, so I can go on forever. But again, I can share this with anyone if they want to, take a copy. But agreements, agent agreements. This is an important point. Make sure that you regionalize. Okay, one size does not fit all. Don't forget. It is something that a lot of agents don't read, but make sure you speak about the various clauses that you're going to apply to that agent, with that agent in writing. So if Turkey will ask you discounts and you're offering Turkey a special scholarship, make sure you agree it with your agent before you put it in your agreement, so that they know what they're selling, okay? Right. Yeah, go on, put this on and I'll talk over it. Enjoying the ride, what do I mean? You may be taken for a ride. Are they always talking about money? Do they want marketing incentives before they do anything for you? Do they want to sell you their events before they get to know your school? Do they always tell you what to do? Are they always having political conversations with you about the industry without producing? They're wasting your time. They're too opinionated, probably promise a lot and under-deliver. Be careful. You should always look up the sales target pitch first. Can they, as I said, share your burden of a sales target? Can you get them to work the market for you? Then they're worth your time and money. Right, so any authentic experience of the proprietor and the team and the sort of branch director would speak volumes for you. Again, proven track records, some metrics, KPIs. The most important thing I find in my industry, if it's a serious business, they have CRMs and they're tech savvy. They chase their clients, they chase their data. If they don't use CRMs, if they're still on their, everything's sort of primitive, then it's not a very efficient business. Sometimes some people come to the business for some quick buck because they think, 20%, 10%, 15%, they think that's easy to do. But considering the amount of time we spend per parent and the whole journey, the whole investment into our businesses, we as agents, I've got to be honest now, going back in my shoe, we as agents aren't very happy when schools compare them to us. So know your fishmonger, please. Multilingual proficiency will take them a long way. There are some Russian agents who also speak Ukrainian, who also speak Armenian, who also speak some of the Turkish languages. Brilliant. They would do a lot of work for you. So the market knowledge is something, that's the final point of my speech, but it's something that will build up over time. If they're interested in their business, if they're passionate about what they do, they will build their market knowledge and they will share that with you, like I am here today. I hope you found this useful. Thank you for your time. So, introduce my colleague, my competition, my friend, my mentor, Yeshim, and then
different venue, perhaps. And I think it was a copy of
it's competition, but cooperation definitely.
Yeah.
Yeshim